Okay, we're live. I'm live. Elly is coming. I just sent her the link, so I'm late getting the link to her. I've already set up tomorrow's show. Um, I just got off the phone with text messaging with Mark, and he has an update for us. I'm gonna give a few more people time to get in here before I say anything. I understand the president has several emergency meetings going on at the White House today. So, they're talking about pandemic now with the coronavirus. I know they're saying it's much worse than the flu. I did listen to a recording this morning of somebody who was on the Diamond Princess and had it. He said it was pretty much his symptoms were just a really dry cough that was annoying because he couldn't stop coughing, and he just seemed to dehydrate and had an extremely high fever, over 103. And in the beginning, even with the fever, he didn't feel too sick, but afterwards he started feeling very weak and lethargic. As we know, a fever will make you feel. I didn't listen to the very end of it. My real estate agent came over, and I now have a sign out front that says I'm under contract. So um, forgive me, I forgot to turn off the volume on my phone, and I forgot to get my house phone. So I. Oh, Frank, are you up in? You're up in Washington, right, Frank? That you're going over the Bay Bridge, looking at the Diamond Princess, or is that no? That's the Oakland Bay Bridge, right? Is that the one that came to Oakland? Welcome, Linda. Uh, um, let's just go ahead and get this up. Well, I need to wait for Ellie to get here so she'll hear the news because I just got off the phone with Mark. Um, yeah, Oakland, right. Here she is. Hang on a second. Hey, don't you look pretty in that
Oh,
lace
thank
top?
you.
Um, okay, I was just giving everybody an update. I just got off the text messaging with Mark, and I asked if he'd heard an update, and so he was able to make a call or whatever he did to get us an update. And Larry's condition has not changed. It's still, I'd say, grave as a pun intended. Um, so his health is still in grave danger, but he's still breathing, but I don't know that he's breathing on his own, but he's still breathing. So that's the important thing. And
Mhm.
so, this soldier is a fighter. So, folks, before I break down and start weeping, come on the conference call tonight if you can. We've got to pray for him. We've got to pray about the coronavirus. Look, after, remember, Larry told us in 2016, he kept reminding us of Second Chronicles 7:14. If my people who are called by my name will humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, don't forget that last one, turn from wicked ways, then God will hear from heaven, forgive our sins, and heal our land. And fires, he promised never to flood the earth again, but he did not promise there wouldn't be major fires. So, the fire we saw in California, even if it was created by DARPA or whatever, HARP or whatever does it, the do, the microwave energy weapons, and even if that's the cause of it, that doesn't mean God doesn't send it and allow it to happen. And when you think of the flooding of the farmland and the droughts that are in other farm areas like California, and the how close we are to failure of bridges and dams and so on, um, You hear about the Cascadia fault line and the number of volcanoes that are on the fault line. The volcano that is bubbling offshore, underwater, along the Cascadia Fault. Our country is ripe for God's judgment. And it's Second Chronicles 7:14. It's God's people turning, that is holding back his hand of judgment. I have absolutely no doubt about that. And as I read to you yesterday, I haven't had my chance to be in the Bible today because of all that was happening today with the house. As I read to you yesterday, when the plague hit Moses, and then the plague hit again, and Phineas the high priest, went running through with the censer. It's the prayers of God's people that hold back God's judgment. And when I think of how God hates the shedding of innocent blood, he hates witchcraft. Rebellion is as the sin of witchcraft. And when you have people rebelling against the natural order of things, that's witchcraft, and that's idolatry. That's connected to idolatry, and that gets God's ire. But even if the people are doing things like that, if there are enough people who are falling on our faces like Daniel did, praying on behalf of the people. Now, I've read Daniel 7, I think it's Daniel 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, somewhere in there, that prayer that he read, Daniel 9. I'm going to read it. I'm going to read it again right now. I prayed to the Lord my God and confessed, O Lord, the great and awesome God, who keeps his covenant of love with all who love him and obey his commands, we have sinned and done wrong. We've been wicked and have rebelled. We have turned away from your commands and laws. And, even if we are committing the sin of omission, not that we're committing sins because you're trying to live righteously, but if you have omitted standing up against the sins of others, we've still sinned. We have not listened to your servants who spoke in your name, and to all the people of our land. Lord, you are righteous. This day we are covered with shame because of what's going on, and been unfaithful to you. We have sinned against you. The Lord our God is merciful and forgiving, even though we have rebelled against him. We have not obeyed the Lord our God or kept the laws he gave us. We have transgressed your law and turned away, refusing to obey you. Therefore, the curses and sworn judgments have been poured out on us because we have sinned against you. The disaster has come upon us, yet we have not sought the favor of the Lord our God by turning from our sins and giving attention to your truth. The Lord did not hesitate to bring this disaster on us, for the Lord our God is righteous in everything he does, but we have not obeyed him. And so even though, we talk about God's love, yes, God is love. But how many times does the Bible say God is love versus how many times does it say God is righteous, God is holy, and God is just? There's quite an imbalance between how many times God is love versus God is righteous, holy, and just. So, we do need to build up our immune systems. And elderberry is very good. Vitamin C is awesome. We've talked about iodine because I read the PubMed NIH article from 2004 that said SARS coronavirus was what the iodine would treat. And they said it would give like 99% cure. D3 and K2 together has been, doctors have said, use that. Trump got the pharmaceutical companies, I read this morning, he got the pharmaceutical companies to agree to have no copay if you have the coronavirus test. and your insurance has to cover your treatment. Um, yes, the World Health Organization has said that we have a global pandemic. The kids, Ohio universities, the kids are not coming back to school after spring break. They're to stay home and do online courses. Alabama has declared that today. Maryland is still in a temporary situation with that.
Denial.
Pardon me?
Denial.
Well, listen, you know what? Remember what I said yesterday? Friday we had 3 cases. Sunday we had 5. Yesterday we had 9. So it's multiplying and doubling, nearly doubling. But every single one so far was on a cruise ship. Every one of them so far. But it's so far. Now, I heard just an hour ago that there is now one in Pine Bluff, Arkansas, Elly. I don't know if you'd heard that. So, what's going to happen with me trying to cross country to move? I don't know. James, I agree with you. The ones who are dying are the elderly, over 60. And so being healthy and maintaining your immune system is really, really important. And I'm going to still take another minute in the Word, and I'm going to read at least parts of Psalm 91. He who dwells in the shelter of the Most High will rest in the shadow of the Almighty. I will say of the Lord, He is my refuge and my fortress, my God in whom I trust. Surely He will save you from the fowler's snare and the deadly pestilence. He will save you from the deadly pestilence. He will cover you with His feathers, and under His wings you will find refuge. His faithfulness will be your shield and rampart. You will not fear the terror of night, nor the arrow that flies by day, nor the pestilence that stalks in the darkness, nor the plague that destroys at midday. 1,000 may fall at your side, 10,000 at your right hand, but it will not come near you. You will only observe with your eyes and see the punishment of the wicked. If you make the Most High your dwelling, even the Lord who is my refuge, then no harm will befall you. No disaster will come near your tent. Now, I know as Americans, we claim that a lot. And yet we've got a lot of, China was the fastest growing church, and now Iran is the fastest growing church in the world. And so there are lots of Christians there, millions of Christians in both of those countries. And the problem is prevalent, in both of those countries. South Korea has a lot of Christians, and they're having trouble. Millersville, Bucknell's in Pennsylvania, Westchester's in Pennsylvania too, right? Is that where you're from, Laura? Yes, a lot of people died under Obama with nobody ever making a single thing about it, and now all of a sudden, because Trump's in office, he's to blame, and he didn't do enough soon enough, and it's ridiculous. Sorry that you're having some internet trouble, Gloria. I'll just give you the update again. Larry's situation has not changed. He remains in the same situation he has been. So we need to pray very hard for him. The online training for the teachers. Yeah, I'm blurry. You know what? I realized that. I don't know why that is. Was I moving too much? Was I getting too close? No. I don't, now that they haven't threatened to close the lower grades here, it was just the universities, because there's, does that help?
Your glasses are blurry is all.
Oh, okay, well, my muddled glasses, yeah. it's the universities that they're shutting down right now, and not the elementary kids, because I don't think any kids have gotten it yet anywhere. Um, and you know the odd thing, William, with the care facility that lost people in their 80s, you know, wasn't that before they even started doing any testing on the coronavirus? Um, Frank wants me to keep going in Psalm 91, so I'll go ahead and finish the chapter. But you know, when I read these incredible promises, you know, the um,
Your popcorn's ready.
yeah, well, I haven't turned my phone off yet. Uh, you know, I just keep thinking about Christians who have had to face great trouble, and you know, we claim it, we hope for it, and sometimes God says no. But at least we know if something really bad happens, we still have the Lord with us. And if we die of something like coronavirus or something else, um, we know where we're going to be if you know the Lord. So that's the good thing. And Linda, you sound like you're having fun today, so enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'll go back to finishing the chapter. If you make the Most High your dwelling, even the Lord, who is my refuge, then no harm will befall you, no disaster will come near your tent or your dwelling. For he will command his angels concerning you to guard you in all your ways. They will lift you up in their hands, so you will not strike your foot against a stone. You will tread upon the lion and the cobra. You will trample the great lion and the serpent. Because he loves me, says the Lord, I will rescue him. I will protect him, for he acknowledges my name. He will call upon me, and I will answer him. I will be with him in trouble. I will deliver him and honor him. With long life will I satisfy him and show him my salvation. Uh, so that's Psalm 91. It's a good thing to read Psalm 91, you know, when you wake up and when you go to bed, and just pray the Lord's protection over you and yours and your family and your house. Um, and I'm going to get my, no, that's not what I wanted to do. Turn the sound off. Um, Having done all, stand, exactly. And I appreciate what you say, Paul. We should stand together and not be separated by petty differences anymore. And my daughter texted me, the one that my grandkids were here last week. She said, "Hey, just ask us for help to move you," and that's an incredible possibility. So I need to do that. So that was really good news for me. I did not expect that, because I really have. Hey, Mimi, did you hear what I just said about my kids? I hope you're listening, because Mimi texted me yesterday and said that she was hopping on praying for reconnection with my family members. So it sounds like the Lord is answering her prayer already, and I'm delighted. I appreciate that so much, because we just haven't had anything. Oh, I had something funny to show you right behind me here. Laura, what's happening with my house? I just thought before I throw this in the trash, look at my paint shirt, guys. Here are the sleeves. So you know, when I make a mistake, I just pull, which it's so hard to figure out left and right on this thing. So I'll just pull my sleeve up and just use it to run along the edge and collect everything. I mean, I've even got paint on the back. It's just so. And here's the bottom of my shirt. So paint, 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 paint. My pants look the same. That's going in the trash today. As I was starting to pack up some things, I went, okay, here's a shirt I can use as a fresh shirt for my paint shirt in the future. So what's happening with my house? Okay, so we now have an under contract sign out front, and we have had all the inspections. We've had the appraisal today. and we renegotiated the price after the inspection with, they're wanting my help. And so they ended up actually in some ways getting more than they asked for, but I'm giving them my riding lawnmower instead of all the cash that they wanted. So sorry, I swallowed wrong again. That remains to be seen, Dreamy. Where I'm going. We just are taking this one day at a time, because if we are going into a depression, if we are going into quarantine and lockdown and everything's going to be blocked, who knows where I'm going to be allowed to go. So Sherry, there is no way I'm keeping that shirt. No way. It's pretty funny, but thank you for saying it looks tie-dyed. No, it just looks an absolute mess from all the fingerprints that, wiping my fingers on the shirt. So anyhow, that's my stuff. So Trump got the insurance companies to support payments for the coronavirus test and treatment, and he's in some kind of emergency financial. No, I'm not going to Boston. No way. I've never been there, but no thanks. I do not need to go someplace like that. Well, nothing's definite, Laura, until I actually have the proceeds in hand. So, we still got a couple. They've got another week to lock down everything with their bank, and so it's not done until that commitment is made and we actually go forward. But this is a really, really good time to buy, in the sense that interest rates are really low. Last I heard, it was 2.5%. I don't think they've ever been that low in who knows how many decades or centuries. So that's the plan, Josephine, but we'll see. That's it for me, Elly. Your turn.
Well, I was right yesterday. I called one of the frat houses that I've done bake sales for Share of Strength, and I asked them, and because it had come out last night that between the ages of 18 and 29, only 13% actually voted last night, because the Bachelor show was on, and yeah, that was the big one. They would rather do that. And then when I had called the frat house, and Karen's probably knows a lot of this, they said, it's fun to go to the rallies and the protests and to get mean with people that wear Trump hats, but really voting is for old people. That young people aren't really interested in voting. So this is good. And then I asked, what about St. Patrick's Day? And they said that is the biggest party of the year for the end of the year of school, because some graduate early right now, and the rest would go in mid-May. So St. Patty's Day is one of the biggest parties. So they're not even going to make it to that vote. They said that's basically across the country, because it's the frat houses, I call the ones that Kappa, whatever. Well, I mean, you'll see, if you move here, Mary Ellen, you'll see there's a whole street that's full of all the frat houses, and they're beautiful. They're really beautiful. So basically, college students, they're all for the protests and the rallies, because those are fun, but and to march. But as far as voting, that's for old people to do. So I think that's why Bernie Sanders tanked. He was counting on all those young votes, and they weren't there. I mean, maybe if he had, a couple kegs and beer pong, I think they might have showed up. You got to entertain these guys. And I think it's very comical that, I was spot on with that. The other thing was, I got my sources that's over in Israel. They gave me some info that I find pretty alarming. They had it on the news. They've been doing balloons, and I did this a couple days ago where they're putting bombs. Hamas is putting bombs on balloons and sending them over. Well, my sources from real close to Gaza said, no, I don't think anybody understands what's going on. That T-Lob had been over there with
Who?
her family. T-Lob. Talab,
Oh,
Bernie
yeah.
Sanders' girl. Well, she's got family over there, right, real close to the border, between Gaza and where Israel is. And they had seen her over there and meeting with, um, they just want to stick with unsavory characters. And I said terrorist, and he told me unsavory characters. That's all I'm gonna, because he don't want nothing to happen to him. And he said what he is seeing is rebels and Hamas in Gaza, and that's who is sending these balloons over. And he said they are dressing like the locals. And I said, so what? Give me more info. And he says, what you don't understand is Hamas has moved down to the southern part of Gaza and they're building forces. And he says it's not looking good because they will start shooting um, nuclear weapons from uh, Gaza over into Israel into neighborhoods. They're now going to start attacking neighborhoods. And this is something he heard quietly being passed on person to person in this town. So he says, be ready for Israel to, have to get the iron fist back up. And I guess that's what they call it, to block the missiles. But yes, now it is being seen, Hamas and other rebels. I'm thinking it's mostly Hamas, maybe ISIS, have moved into Gaza, lower Gaza, and that's pretty scary. That's scary. And so, that's the tidbit of info I got. I always get this stuff for you guys, and then I don't get it for my own viewers. So you guys get more info, unless my viewers are watching, unless I remember it. Everybody's been talking about the virus today, and I did a really big, half my show this morning was on the virus. And I think what I'll do is go over it with you guys. And some of it you all already know, some stuff maybe is good to know. I did get I got it from 3 different experts, a doctor, a scientist, and someone from the CDC and the CDC side. And they said that we're not stopping the virus, we are slowing it down, because there's no way to stop it as long as one person is infected. And we know that that's common sense. And
So who said this about can't stop it, just slow it down?
and the CDC is putting that out, that it can't be stopped, but it can be slowed. And then when you listen to the experts, they're saying as long as 1 or 2 people have it, you're going to have another person infected. And what they're now saying is it is striking the majority of older people over the age of 80. We know this. Some young people, but they said we must go back to the days when we were disinfecting. And what what this scientist said, and what was really good about this is he's been on CNN, and I didn't like it. And then he happened to do some of the other news organizations where he's changed his mind. And what he said is we have got to go back to when our parents dealt with smallpox and measles and all those diseases that we had to get rid of, rubella. Mumps at one time was very, very. Um, I mean, it would debilitate people. Meningitis. He said back then our parents disinfected. He says, you remember when you would walk in the house and your mom had mopped with Pine Sol or used Lysol spray? We have got to go back to what our parents did. And he said, this is the smart way. And if they were able to get through the measles and the mumps and the chicken pox and the rubella, we can get through this coronavirus.
I had all those. I had all those diseases. It used to be when somebody came down with one of those diseases, mom would take all the kids over. All the neighborhood kids would come over to have them cough and breathe on you so you'd all get it, because you get lifetime immunity. If you're vaccinated, after 10, 15 years, the vaccine wears off and you got to get a booster.
Yeah. Scarlet fever was another one. My sister had scarlet fever, I believe. I mean, I might have to check with her. I believe that's what it was. And
you can see my scars here from those, diseases. Got these big holes in my head.
I won't say nothing. Don't worry. I won't say nothing about the holes in your head. I promise. So the precautions is more helpful than scaring Americans, is how this guy felt. He says, if you live in an area with the virus, start now. Start preparing now. Start taking care of your house, your surroundings. Be aware of your surroundings.
Now, here's a good idea. Buy white cotton gloves. Women, you can get those at the pharmacy for where you put lotion on and sleep in your gloves overnight to try and soften your hands. When I went to Home Depot the other day, I had them with me. I ended up not using them because I also had wipes. When I went into Target, they had a whole couple bins of wipes that you could grab to wipe the cart down, and I wiped everything down. When I got in the car, I had a brand new wipe. I wiped my steering wheel off. I wiped the doorknob off, and wiped my hands off real good. I took a couple so that I had one for the car and one for me. But one thing I heard somebody say the other day was have a pair of gloves that you wear in the store. You take them off when you get in your car, turn them inside out as you take them off, and when you get home, soak them in bleach for 30 minutes. A bleach solution. I think it's like a tablespoon for half a gallon of water, or anyhow, a bleach solution, and let them sit there for half an hour, 10 minutes to half an hour. Get rid of the germs that way, dry them out, and then next time you go out, put them on again. Take them with you. So, I made sure I had wipes. I made sure I had hand sanitizer in my purse or my pocket. And, we have to be careful. A doctor I saw the other day or two ago, was saying the masks that everybody's wearing, all right, well, rubber or vinyl, you'd have to have disposable then. But anyhow, thanks, Gloria, about not being able to pass anything through the cotton. Shoes off when you come in the house. That's a good idea. That's a really good idea. Or different shoes when you're inside. The mask, though, I was talking about the mask. The people who are important to wear masks are the ones that have it and can spread it, and that helps to stop them from spreading it, because the masks are not as protective as people want to feed themselves into thinking. So the ones it's important to put on a mask is the ones who actually have it and are coughing.
So anyway, here was the next one, was when you get home from work, school, your kids or yourself, change your clothes immediately. Put them in the washing machine. If you got to change in the bathroom and put them in a plastic bag, use more hot water on your clothes. Then wash your hands, your face before you even, go any further into your house. And the other thing he mentioned, like you said, to wipe your cars down, the seats, the steering wheel, the dashboard, all the knobs, the door along the window. And if you have riders, you wipe their seats down, anything they could possibly touch. And then spray the carpets down with Lysol. We had one of the viewers say, when we were younger, we used to have to change into play clothes. The kids have gotten lazy, and the scientists in the CDC and this other guy was saying, this doctor was saying, we're getting lazy. It seems we're getting lazy in the way we have been keeping things clean. And he said the other thing is, don't forget about little Johnny. What about you have to wipe down their helmets, their mouthpieces, make sure their sports stuff is clean, the padding they wear, their elbow pads, the knee pads, the facial masks that some of them wear. You've got to be able to get these clean. And the other thing that was put forth to me earlier was, when the kids are playing, softball now, they won't let them take the catcher protection, the protection piece. They put it back in the bag. This is something that needs to be addressed to these little leaguers, that if they're going to play with anything, that the coaches need to be responsible for wiping this stuff down to keep our kids safe. Sanitize your house big time, constantly, like we just talked about with the sprays and the wipes. Use more disinfectants when you use your carts and shopping carts, and not just the bar. Get that little seat flapper, because those babies are going to sit in that seat and you don't know what they're carrying. And most of us put our purse right there, which can transfer the germs from there to the bottom of our purse. And where do we put them when we get home? On the counter. There you go. You're transferring it. You got to get all the way around the rim of the basket. The other thing was just like what we were talking. You must boost your immune system at this point, all of us, even if it's multivitamins. If all you have is your kids' Flintstone vitamins, my own doctor, I call my nurse on this, and she says, everybody should be taking multivitamins right now. Vitamin C, like you said, vitamin K. Start eating oranges. Oranges is going to boost up your immune system. And always take your vitamin K, because vitamin K helps all vitamins absorb into your system. The better we fight and boost our immune system, the less likely this virus or even the next flu has a chance to grab us. Watch where the virus is. If your family is in a nursing home, and it come out today, the nursing homes are now willing to help accommodate you, that if you want your parents moved during quarantine, as long as they test negative, that they'll help you move your parents. Don't leave them in these nursing homes to get this thing. Catch it early on. Be aware of where the virus is. If it's a mile, they're saying within a mile. Not me. I'm saying within 10 miles. So if your parents' nursing home or living center is within 10 miles, call them. Ask to be able to move them. Don't leave them there to get this virus. And even the nursing homes are even agreeing with this. Logic works better than hysteria. Prevention works better than just worrying and watching TV, waiting for the next report. And most of all, prayer. We got to pray because God will eradicate this disease. And realize the regular flu is even moving across this country and killing people. So all these steps that I'm going over, realize that it will even keep you from getting this other flu. Because what's not to say it turns into what coronavirus is, because it is killing people. And right now, there's 30 deaths, 1,000 affected, in 37 states. So probably you add the one because we got one in Pine Bluff, so it's 1,001. There's probably more than that. They're saying if you've got plans to use planes or ships, try not to do that. Postpone your trips for 2 months because they said it's going to get worse the next week or two, but then we'll start seeing the drop-offs unless people don't listen to prevention. And according to the doctor, we can't do much with California. California is coronavirus waiting to explode over the homeless, the poop, the needles, the rats. It is just a virus waiting to blow up there. And then get this, Mary Ellen, buy extra food. Don't get crazy and buy. Just buy a little bit, like rice, box food, soup, a little bit at a time. That's what was said. And I was like, yeah, Mary Ellen, go girl, go girl. Let's see, allergy season's coming. And
Oh,
this.
you can imagine my allergies after all the chemicals in my house. I just keep sniffing and sniffing, and I'm sure part of it is the ash from the fireplace behind me here. But I'm thankful for the warmth, so I'll deal with the sniffles.
And so this comes from my nurse and my doctor here in town, and they said allergy season is coming. And if you get congested badly and get a fever, then call. Or if you have concerns. And they said, realize that sinus infections you will get a temperature with. They said, my doctor said, trust your body. And if it seems more than a severe cold, if it settles into your chest a little bit harder than what allergies do, you know that is something more. Trust your body and trust what your body is telling you. If you start running fevers, call your doctor. Don't wait for coronavirus to totally engulf you and make you so sick that you're looking at treatments. If we can get it early on, they can possibly, he says, he wants to try antibiotics like he's doing with this other flu. And he said even an antibiotic shot, a pneumonia shot, and maybe even, if you haven't had the flu shot, they're trying everything they can here to keep it out of our state. And it really sounds like these doctors are talking to one another. And the other thing was, that I heard this morning, was there are governors starting to plan and set up testing sites. So we can have early prevention. So look, keep an eye on your states, keep an eye on your local news, and see if by chance they have the check station in your area. And, like I said, you have to keep an eye on where it's at. Pine Bluff is a little far. It's more than 10 miles. I'm not worried just yet. But I will start doing what they say, just on the fact it will protect me. And, with what they have and with the prayers and with God's protection and having faith that he will protect us, we should do pretty good.
And don't forget, when you're talking about God protecting us, we've got our conference call at 9 Eastern tonight, but at 7 every evening, 7 Eastern, whatever time that it works out to be where you live, there is a national call for prayer for safety for America. And that at this point, will include the coronavirus.
Mhm. And the last thing they did was they wanted to talk about the weather going warmer because we really don't have no proof of it, but we're seeing it in over in China and over in warmer areas that have got it throughout the world, that it does seem to help, or they're not sure it's running their course. They said the thing about warmer weather is you tend to go out like with your family and you go out, you spend time outside. That's not in a confined area. You're not with a whole bunch of people, and it tends to let it uh, fade away in a way, is what they were saying. And it's expecting to slow it and possibly stop it, is what they were saying. So those here in the warmer weather is going to make it better. There's just 50-50 on that, and realize that you're better to fall back on time to prepare, like we talked yesterday, and now we've talked about it again. Prepare for it, to keep it out of your house, and this is the way to do it. Get those Lysol wipes, or she said, like Mary Ellen said, you can make your own. Wash your hands, and you know what they say, 20 seconds. Well, I did an experiment and I started washing my hands and counting, and I was barely even to get the soap off at 20 seconds. So definitely, the 20-second rule, if you can have the soap off by then, that's great. Otherwise, it's going to be longer. The other thing that I heard on Fox and Friends was a mom that said they're teaching the kids in school to wash your hands like a surgeon and make sure you get your nails and under your nails. I've got very long nails, and I am making a good point of, I found a good small toothbrush, a baby toothbrush we're not using, and I'm running it under my nails. And it's only because I have a very low immune system. And so me maybe getting the virus would be more than just a normal person, my age. And so I really have to watch if we got it in the state. But like I said, Pine Bluff is pretty far. So I'm not real worried about it. Even if it got to Little Rock, I really wouldn't worry.
If anybody wants to buy some long-term storable food, you can. We had Chance on here before, and Chance, I heard yesterday he still has food coming in. He's got orders coming in, so you can order through him. His AmericanSurvivalWholesale.com, AmericanSurvivalWholesale.com. I'll put it in the chat in just a minute. Or you can go to simplycleanfoods.net and listen again later. His phone number is 737 400 2266. 737 400 2266. And I'll put his website in here.
I seen on there about the not to trust the vaccines. Me and my doctor, I personally discussed this with him because I don't do flu shots. I just refuse because of what's in them. I've agreed to the pneumonia shot, and you can only have that, I think, every 4 years. But for the most part, even with no immune system, and I catch stuff very, very easily, I have not had a horrible case of the flu. I had it one time about 10 years ago, and that was because of the vaccine. I caught the flu. I ended up in the hospital with the flu. So I know not to do no more flu vaccines. I personally, in my opinion, suggest against it. I would say go for the pneumonia shot if you're deathly ill. But I have been able to talk with my doctor, and he agrees, no flu shot for me. And he isn't real satisfied himself on the ingredients and the things he had seen on the internet on his own. Yeah, I call him Dr. Doogie Howser, because this guy is like, he looks like he's 18. And, you know, I always say hubba hubba, you know, when I go in there, because he's so young and cute. And, but he's very smart for being, you know, I'm going to say fresh out of college. He says not. He says about 10 years. He don't look that old. He just got that baby face. But he has agreed that the vaccines aren't the way to go with the flu shots. He said they're mostly a year behind, which means they will not work on your new flu, on the new flu that comes out. And we've had the same flu running through the state for 2 years. And the vaccines they've had don't touch it. It just won't touch it. So if you are one that wants to do the vaccine and you trust it, see if you can find out what the ingredients are that's in the vaccine. A lot of them, even baby boosters, have got mercury in them. That's what I'm fearful of. It has a small amount of mercury in all these vaccines and the boosters, and that's scary. They should not be putting that ingredient into the vaccines, and it's wrong. So, but you know, that's your preference. I would suggest watching Vaxxed. Have you seen it, Mary Ellen? Vaxxed?
No, I have not, but I've heard a lot about it.
It's a good documentary to watch. It'll tell you what they have been able to find. It's, I say, top dog people that are in that video, and they show you what these vaccines are made of. So if you can get your hands on it, it's really hard. A lot of the times they want you to pay for it, but watch it. Watch Vaxxed. And it's very important. Anyway, I tried to make this as close to it to where you can end if you want to save time.
Linda's asking about the clean food. There's no GMOs in anything Kent sells. He has no meat available, but he does have fruit and vegetables, long-term storage, 25, 30 years. It's simplycleanfoods.net or americansurvivalwholesale.com. Those are both his websites. Mm-hmm. And then I posted his phone number, which is 737-400-2066. Mm-hmm. He's in Texas. So he was at Hear the Watchman last weekend with some stuff, and Bill Gates does not vaccinate his children. That's good to know that you can request mercury-free vaccines and get the vaccine insert, and hopefully, you know, they're giving you the.
My doctor said not always will they. Do they show you the box, or do they want you to see it? It depends on the doctors. And a lot of them, when you do that, they don't want you to know. They're going to get angry. And you know what? You have a right to go to any doctor. I've had a doctor I actually quacked at.
Actually what?
Quacked. You know, quack, quack, quack. I quacked at her. I didn't know what else to do.
You quacked at him, or he quacked at you?
No, I quacked at her because my eardrum bursted in a surgery I had. And when I went to see them and told them they were responsible for it, she told me no. That from what she could see, that I had gotten a hold of a ballpoint pen in surgery and popped my own eardrum. And that's what they wrote down in my records. And until I wanted a copy of the records, and it disappeared. The whole thing disappeared. But that's what she was going to stick to her story. And I laughed. And then the next time I went in to see her, I asked her if she was real serious on this. And she said, yeah, you probably did. People do stuff in their sleep and they don't realize it. And I said, okay, so who gave me the pin to stick in my ear when I was snoring? I'm heavily snoring. I said, I probably drove everybody nuts in there. And she said, well, you know, it just happens. Your hand could reach over in like a tech's pocket. And I said, in my sleep? Are you kidding me? And she said she was dead serious. So I quacked at her and I got up and left. And then I requested not to have her as a doctor. The next visit, I had her again because she demanded that she be my doctor. And I went and I said, either I can continue to quack at you or you can help me find another doctor. And I just started quacking until she kicked me out of the office. So I found me another doctor. So, but you know, Mary Ellen, remember we talked earlier on the phone. I do stuff like that. You know, it may drive people nuts, and I may do some silly things, but I usually get my way on how I go about it. But no, if your doctors don't want to work with you, find another doctor. You know, and before it goes Medicare for all, and we don't have a choice. We see who's there. And then you're going to end up with the quack quack doctor, like I had. And her name was, oh man, Ahmad? No. I'll have to, remember, I'll find out what it was and tell you guys, because she disappeared out of Arkansas and went somewhere else. And they will not tell me where she went. And which is scary because now she's out there somewhere. And she was from India, so she had a very hard Indian accent, and she wears a whole hijab thing. I even told her I didn't want her as my doctor because she was Muslim, and she didn't go for that either. So she was insisting. You know, I just hope Larry don't get her as a doctor if he's going to that hospital. If he sees doctors at that hospital, I hope he never has to see her, because that is just malpractice 101.
All right, folks, that's it for today. Thank you for being here. Thank you for the information you guys shared in the chat, and you know, we're interacting with one another. It really makes it fun. Thank you for being here. God bless you, and we will talk again tomorrow. Text me if you want to help Larry in any way, and I will have you send the money to Mark. I'll give you his PayPal account, and Mark can get the money to Larry. So I'm just watching the last few chats. All right, in that case, thanks, guys. We'll talk tomorrow. Bye.